breaking our song into phrases. Here we go.
You think I'm an ignorant savage. You've been so many places, I guess it must be so. But still I cannot see the savage one, me. How can there be so much that you don't know? You don't know.
Breathing through our song in phrases. Pocahontas.
You think I'm an ignorant savage. You've been so many places, I guess it must be so. Still I cannot see if the savage one is me. How can there be so much that you don't know? You don't know. Think you own whatever land you land on. The earth is just a dead thing you can claim. But I know every rock and tree and creature has a life, has a spirit, has a name. You think the only people who are people are the people who look and think like you. But if you walk the footsteps of a stranger, you'll learn things you never knew, Have you ever heard the wolf cry to the blue-corn moon? Or asked the grinning bobcat why he grinned? Can you sing with all the voices of the mountains? Can you paint with all the colors of the wind? Can you paint with all the colors of the wind?
Big breaths between them. Here we go.
So run the hidden pine trail of the forest and taste the sun-sweet berries of the earth. Come roll in all the riches all around you, and for once never wonder what they're worth. The rainstorm and the river are my brothers. The heron and the otter are my friends, and we are all connected to each other in a circle, in a hoop that never ends. How high will the sycamore grow? If you cut it down, then you'll never know. And you'll never hear the wolf cry to the blue-corn moon. For whether we are white or copper skin, we need to sing with all the voices of the mountain. We need to paint with all the colors of the wind. You can own the earth and still all you own is earth until you can paint with all the colors of the wind.
Good. All right. So, getting better, but really we need to really focus on when we're going to breathe, right? Here we go.
You think I'm an ignorant savage. Breathe! And you've been so many places, I guess it must be so. Breathe! But still I cannot see. Breathe! If the savage one is me. Breathe! How can there be so much that you don't know? Breathe! You don't know. Breathe!
This is Colors of the Wind broken into phrases. The first phrase is you think I'm an ignorant savage, right? So we're going to go breathe.
You think I'm an ignorant savage. Breathe! And you've been so many places, I guess it must be so. Breathe! But still I cannot see. Breathe! If the savage one is me. Breathe! How can there be so much that you don't know? Breathe! You don't know. Breathe! Think you land you land on. Breathe. The earth is just a dead thing you can claim. Breathe. But I know every rock and tree and creature. Breathe. Has a life, has a spirit, has a name. Breathe. You think the only people who are people are the people.
You forgot to breathe. Think the only people who are people. Breathe. Do it again. Do it.
You think the only people who are people.
You took a sneaky breath there. You think the only people who are people. Breathe.
Okay. You think the only people who are people. Breathe. Are the people who look and think like you. Breathe. But if you walk the footsteps of a stranger, breathe. You'll learn things you never knew. Breathe. Have you ever heard the wolf cry to the brew?
Okay, let's go back. So you're going to go like this. But if you walk the footsteps of a stranger, breathe. You'll learn things you never knew. Breathe. Have you ever?
Okay.
Hey, so here we go. What was that line? But if you walk the footsteps of a stranger, so breathe.
But if you walk the footsteps of a stranger, breathe. You learn things you never knew. Breathe. Have you ever heard the wolf cry to the blue corn moon? Breathe. Things you never knew.
Breathe.
Breathe.
Have you
ever heard the wolf cry to the blue corn moon?
Breathe.
Or ask the grinning bobcat why he grinned?
Breathe.
We need to sing with all the voices of the mountains.
Breathe.
We need to...
Didn't breathe. So going back. So, but if you walk the footsteps of a stranger, breathe. You'll learn things you never knew. Breathe. Here we go.
But if you walk the
Footsteps of a stranger, breathe.
You'll learn things.
You'll learn things when you'll learn things you never knew. You'll learn things you never knew. So, breathe. But if you walk the footsteps of a stranger, breathe. You'll learn things you never knew. Breathe. Have you ever heard the wolf cry to the blue corn moon? Breathe. Or ask the grinning bobcat why he grins. Breathe. Can you sing with all the voices of the mountain? Breathe.
Can you paint?
You didn't breathe. You skipped it. You let me do it and you didn't do it. Can you sing with all the voices of the mountain? Breathe. Can you
paint with all the colors of the wind? Breathe. Can you paint with all the colors of the wind?
Breathe. How high does the sycamore grow? Breathe.
Breathe. If you
you didn't breathe. You said breathe, but you didn't breathe. Breathe.
Breathe. If you cut it down, then you'll never know. Breathe. And you'll never hear the wolf cry to the blue corn moon. Breathe. For whether we are white or copper skin, breathe. We need to sing with all the voices of the mountains. Breathe. We need to paint with all the colors of
breathe.
Breathe. Come run the hidden pine trails of the forest. Breathe. Come taste the sun-sweet berries of the earth. Breathe. Come roll in all the riches all around you. Breathe. And for once, never wonder what they're worth. Breathe. The rainstorm.
We didn't breathe.
Breathe. The rainstorm and the river are my brothers. Breathe. The heron and the otter are my friends. Breathe.
Let's record this so we know. You might have to say, at the very end, you might have to do, we might have to say, breathe. And you'll never hear the wolf cry to the blue corn moon, breathe. For whether we are white or copper-skinned, breathe. We need to sing with all the voices of the mountain, breathe. We need to paint with all the colors of the wind, breathe. You can own the earth and still breathe. All you own is earth until, breathe. You can paint, breathe, with all the colors, breathe, of the breathe. Wind, right? Where we really should breathe is breathe of the wind. But in some songs, it's so slow and so long, you have to go breathe of, breathe, the, breathe, wind. So you can hold wind out really long, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so breathe. In a circle, breathe. In a hoop that never ends, breathe.
How high does the sycamore grow?
Breathe.
If you cut it down,
breathe. Then you'll never know. Breathe. And you'll never
hear the wolf cry to the blue corn moon. Breathe. For whether we are white or copper skin, breathe. We need to sing with all the voices of the mountain. Breathe. We need to paint with all the colors of the wind. Breathe. You can own the earth and still breathe. All you'll own is earth until, breathe. You can paint, breathe, with all the colors, breathe, of the wind.
Yes, breathe.
And we are all connected to each other. Breathe. In a circle, in a hoop that never ends. You learn things you never knew, you never knew.
Breathe.
You learn things you never knew, you never knew.
Breathe.
You can own the earth and still
breathe.
All you'll own is earth until
Breathe.
you can paint with all the
Breathe.
You can paint with all the colors
Breathe.
of the wind.
Good. Breathe.
You can own the earth and still
Breathe.
all you'll own is earth until
Breathe.
you can paint
Breathe.
with all the colors.
Breathe.
You can own the earth and still
Breathe.
all you'll own is earth until
Breathe.
you can paint
Breathe.
with all the colors
Breathe.
of the wind. All you own is earth until
Breathe. Paint with all the
colors
Breathe.
of the wind.
Right, and if you have to, you can go of the wind and take a breath there if you need one, because that note gets held really long, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
You can paint with all the colors of the wind.
So, good. See how much more air you have when you do that?
Mhm.
Okay, so that is what we're working on. We want to work on when if you were swimming and you were doing strokes in a swimming pool, right? You know how to swim, right?
Mm-hmm.
So think about that. You can even practice doing that. You think you own whatever land you land on. The earth is just a dead thing you can claim. Da na 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 na. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Right? So if you think about when you're holding it, you're swimming, and when you're done swimming the stroke, that's when you're taking your breath. It's just like when you're swimming. Singing is the same thing. You can't breathe while you're in the middle of swimming some strokes, can you?
Mm-hmm.
You have to turn your head to the side at the right place.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just the exact same thing. Because what happens when you're swimming if you breathe while you're doing the stroke? You suck water in.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's going to happen? You're going to cough and you're going to get water in your lungs. We're going to have to give you the Heimlich maneuver and get that water out of your belly. What do you think? Okay? So really focusing on how you're breathing and when you're breathing is going to make a big difference for you. Now that you know what you're saying, you got it. Because usually it's the opposite with my older students. When they have to learn to breathe in the right spots first, so that they can take the time to slow their brain down and realize that they actually have a new thought that happens there. Because typically when we take a breath, a thought happens, right? When we're talking to people, we say, "Oh, hi, how are you doing today? Are you doing okay? I'm having a weird day. I had this weird thing happen to me earlier where I tripped and fell. I fell on this." When we take a breath in real life, when we talk, we are thinking of what we're going to say next. We use our breathing to take a pause. But when we breathe on purpose so that we have a little extra time. Sometimes what happens? We forget to breathe and we run out of air, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that really happens a lot in singing. So we're thinking about when we're breathing, and that gets broken up into our thoughts. We break our phrases up, and where we breathe is when we also have our thoughts. You did the thinking part of this exercise perfect. I could tell every single thing you were thinking the whole song. So now, just remember that when you have a different thought, you're going to take a breath. Don't forget to breathe.
Okay.
Right?
But should I write down the breaths?
Yes. If you want to write it down, that's what I was saying about in your lyrics. When you write your lyrics out, you would write out your lyrics and you would write, and you would take a pause everywhere you breathe. So like right here, you would write, "You think I'm an ignorant savage," and because you take a breath, you're writing on a notebook paper, I would skip 2 lines. And then you go, "And you've been so many places, I guess it must be so," that you write as one big long line, and then you skip 2 places, right? And
I
then
think I'm actually gonna just write here.
you're going to write here. Well, like the way I put those marks, you're going to make those marks?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you could do that. You can do that. You're doing good at memorizing your words. With my older kids, I make them write the words out. When you get older, you'll want to do that too, because you write a lot. I make them write out all the words for themselves. It's the very first thing they do, because writing it out is a really good way to memorize it. And when you get a lot of stuff stuck in your head, because you know so many different songs, and you come to a place that, like when I've been on stage, where I'll come to a place where I forget, oh my gosh, what's my line? I forgot my next word. And even with a song that I've done a lot of times, like I've sung that song 100 times on stage, sometimes I'll just forget. I'll like, wait a minute. What night is it? Is it Monday or Tuesday? Did I already sing this line today? I know I sang this line, but was that last night when I sang that line? Or have I sung it yet tonight? I'll literally forget where I am or what I'm doing, because my brain will just go and have a little thing. But if you forget your line and you've taken time and you've written it out like that, you know what happens? You literally can look in the air and you can see your hand. You can see yourself writing it out. And you can see yourself writing it out. Now you can read it and you know the line. You're not just having to find it somewhere in your brain. Right? So by writing it out, we've given ourselves another way to always memorize it. right? But for you, as much as with your writing, that's a lot for you to write at your age, because that's a lot of penmanship.
Well, actually, I'm writing my own book.
You are?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, when you get the time, when you want to, write out the lyrics to the songs you know. You should write out the lyrics to every single song you know. And do it like that, leaving the spaces. Because you know what we do? We go back in those spaces and we put marks. You can go back in those spaces and you can put the note that is on that syllable. You can go back and you can put a little accent mark where the downbeat is. Like that's what was going on with you'll learn things you never knew things happens on the downbeat. And you're accenting you'll learn things. That's making it sound like learn things. You'll learn things that you never knew. You're putting learn on the downbeat. Instead of you're going you'll learn things that you never knew. Instead of you'll learn things you never knew. By knowing where our downbeats are, which is done with a little accent mark over the top of it. That lets us know that part. And then in the blank lines in between, we also write out, that's where you do your homework and you write out what you're thinking about. What am I really saying with this line? Like what if I had a line that said, what? I need to know what I'm saying. What am I really saying? I'm not just saying the word what, right? I'm saying, what are you talking about? Or I'm saying, I don't understand. So if I'm really saying, I have the word what written down where I wrote it down, and I have my accent mark and I have my note, but then in the little space down here in a different color, I will write what I'm saying, what about. Now, for the word what, I'll put right here in a different color. I don't understand. That way, when I say the word what, I know to say it like this. What? Like I'm pretending like I'm saying I don't understand, but I'm saying the word what. Like, what if I had a word, what if instead with the word what, I had the word what, you were walking into the room and I was saying hello to you when you walk in the room. Right below that word what, I would write, how are you? Because what's something we'd say a lot? We could say, what's up? Or, I can't believe you're here. So then that way, underneath the word what, I would write, I can't believe you're here. And that way, when you came in the room and I said the word what, I would go, what? I would know to say the word like that. So I know how to say the word what based on what I'm really saying. You did that perfect with your song. You know everything that you were talking about, but that's why we leave those blank spaces when we write it out. It's because when we're analyzing a song, that's big work for later on. But when we get into big theater and we're doing whole scripts of big long stuff, we have to know what we're doing. So we leave little blank spaces, and then we can go back and we can write what we're really saying. And guess what else we write there? In those blank spaces. As it gets more, we leave even more blank spaces. We start to write down, where am I standing? That's called your blocking. Am I standing in the center of the stage? Am I standing on the left part of the stage? Am I standing on the right part of the stage? And then on top of the blocking, you have your gestures. How? Like let's say it said, I'm sitting downstage left. Is your blocking? Well, how are you sitting downstage left? Are you sitting like upright? Like what's next? Are you sitting like, when are we going to be done with all this? How are you sitting? Right? So those are all things you have to know about your performance. Right? So when you leave those blank spaces, you're able to go back and you're able to write in the notes of what it is that you're supposed to go there. Right? Mm-hmm. That's called analysis. And that's really big. That's the really big like grown-ups way of doing a song. We're like just trying to learn to sing them. But that's where we're going in the long run. So learning how to break your song into phrases and where you're taking your breaths, that's the first step. And the second step is knowing, and you have to know your notes. I mean, you already pretty much know your notes, so we're not going to bother writing them down, but at some point we'll work on a song that you don't know, and we'll write down those notes. And you'll learn how to do that. And then what else is another thing we need to figure out is where are those accents going to go? Because right now you got to remember that accent is on, you'll learn things you never knew. Instead of you'll learn things you never knew, which actually makes more sense in speaking. But the way it's written in the music with the note is on the word things. So you'll learn things you never knew. So we know that our accent really goes on the word things, even though that doesn't make a lot of sense in real life. Sometimes we do things in music that we don't do in real life. That's what's fun about it. We can get away with lots of stuff in music that we can't get away with in real life.
I'm so sorry to interrupt.
You got to go. Oh, we're past it. We're at time. Okay. Well, I didn't realize we were at time. Okay.
Hey, Zara, can you get your folder?